The Republic F-105 Thunderchief, often nicknamed the Thud, was one of the most significant fighter bombers developed during the Cold War era by the United States, designed primarily as a supersonic nuclear strike aircraft but ultimately earning its reputation in the conventional bombing role during the Vietnam War, and its history, properties, and legacy remain subjects of deep interest for aviation enthusiasts, historians, and military analysts alike, because the aircraft embodied both the remarkable advancements in aeronautical engineering of the 1950s and 1960s and the immense challenges faced by the United States Air Force (USAF) in adapting aircraft to real-world combat environments. The program began in the early 1950s when Republic Aviation, famous for its robust P-47 Thunderbolt of World War II, sought to create a supersonic tactical strike aircraft capable of delivering nuclear weapons deep into enemy territory without relying on large strategic bombers like the B-52. Leading to the birth of the F-105 project under Alexander Kartveli, one of Republic's leading designers, and the prototype YF-105A flew for the first time in October 1955, demonstrating extraordinary speed, power, and payload capabilities for its time, being able to reach Mach 2 and carry heavy internal and external loads, something unique for fighters of that era. The Thunderchief was a large aircraft, often considered massive compared to earlier fighters, with a length of about 64 feet, a wingspan of 34 feet, and a loaded weight exceeding 50,000 pounds, which made it the largest single-seat, single-engine combat aircraft ever built, powered by the mighty Pratt & Whitney J75P19W turbojet engine producing up to 26,500 pounds of thrust with afterburner, allowing it to reach speeds above Mach 2.1 at altitude and enabling low-level high-speed penetration of enemy defenses, with fuel consumption so high that the F-105 was designed with an internal weapons bay, primarily to carry a single Mark 28 or Mark 43 nuclear bomb, but also adaptable for auxiliary fuel tanks when needed. Although originally intended as a nuclear strike platform, the aircraft soon transitioned into a conventional attack role during the Vietnam War, where its capability to carry up to 14,000 pounds of ordnance on its 5 external hardpoints made it an indispensable tool for heavy bombing raids, outperforming even the legendary World War II bombers like the B-17 Flying Fortress in terms of raw bomb load capacity. Yet its deployment in Vietnam proved both heroic and tragic, as the F-105 was thrust into the role of the USAF's primary strike aircraft during Operation Rolling Thunder 1965-1968, tasked with dangerous missions against heavily defended targets in North Vietnam, including Hanoi and Haiphong, where anti-aircraft artillery, surface-to-air missiles, SAMs, and MiG fighters created one of the deadliest air defense networks in history. The Thunderchief pilots, often flying at treetop level to avoid radar detection, faced staggering losses, with more than half of all F-105s built eventually lost to combat or accidents, though this was not due to any inherent design flaw but because of the sheer intensity of the missions they were assigned, as these jets flew more bombing sorties over North Vietnam than any other type of aircraft, cementing their role as the workhorses of the conflict. Despite its large size, the F-105 was surprisingly agile at high speed, although at low speeds it could be unforgiving, and this duality led to mixed reputations among pilots, some praising its raw power and others lamenting its heavy handling, yet few disputed that the Thunderchief was a marvel of engineering in terms of payload-to-speed ratio, unmatched in its era, and uniquely equipped with advanced avionics for the time, including terrain-following radar, an autopilot system for high-speed low-level penetration, and sophisticated fire control systems that made it one of the first truly modern tactical strike aircraft. Several variants of the Thunderchief were produced, beginning with the F-105B, which served primarily in training and limited operational roles, followed by the improved F-105D, the definitive all-weather fighter bomber with enhanced avionics and combat systems, and the F-105F and F-105G two-seat versions, which became legendary as Wild Weasel aircraft, designed for suppression of enemy air defenses seat missions, using electronic warfare equipment and anti-radiation missiles such as the AGM-45 Shrike and later the AGM-78 Standard armed to hunt and destroy North Vietnamese surface-to-air missile sites, making the F-105G Wild Weasel the first and most iconic seed platform in history, a role so dangerous that its crews adopted the sardonic motto, YGBSM, "You gotta be shitting me," in reference to the perilous task of deliberately flying toward SAM radars to neutralize them. Interestingly, the nickname, Thud, itself, though originally pejorative, eventually became a term of endearment among its pilots, said to have originated from the sound the aircraft might make if it crashed, though others attribute it to cartoon character Chief Thunder Thud, and the aircraft's reputation for toughness further added irony to the name, as it could absorb a great deal of battle damage and still return home, although many were still lost due to the intensity of combat. The F-105 also set several aviation records, including speed records in the 1950s, and was admired for its ability to fly long-range strike missions without the support of larger bombers, a testament to its design philosophy of combining fighter speed with bomber payload. However, its demanding maintenance needs, high accident rate in peacetime training, and eventual vulnerability to evolving air defenses meant that by the late 1960s it was gradually phased out in favor of newer multirole aircraft like the F-4 Phantom II. Though the Wild Weasel variants continued service into the early 1980s before being replaced by the F-4G, in terms of legacy, the Thunderchief taught the USAF vital lessons about survivability, electronic warfare, and the need for multi-role adaptability, shaping the development of later aircraft such as the F-15E Strike Eagle and F-16CJ, and it also became a symbol of the bravery of its pilots, who endured some of the deadliest combat missions of the Cold War. Today, surviving F-105s are preserved in museums and air parks across the United States, standing as monuments to both technological ambition and the sacrifices of those who flew them, while aviation enthusiasts continue to marvel at its sleek, swept-wing delta design, massive engine intake, and the paradox of an aircraft that was both too advanced and yet stretched beyond its original design limits. Beyond combat history, interesting facts about the Thunderchief include its role in pioneering aerial refueling for sustained long-range strike missions, its unique capacity to carry a nuclear weapon internally while still maintaining external loadouts, its cultural legacy in pilot stories and memoirs, and its statistical place as one of the few aircraft to fly more combat sorties than its total production number, a rare and sobering fact that underscores the intensity of its operational use. In sum, the Republic F-105 Thunderchief remains a fascinating study in Cold War aviation history, an aircraft of contradictions, immense power yet vulnerable in combat, technologically advanced yet forced into roles it was not fully designed for, feared and respected by those who flew it, and forever remembered as the Thud, the workhorse of the Vietnam skies and a bridge between the brute force designs of early jet bombers and the sophisticated multirole fighters of the late 20th century.